All right, here we are. Warrior Poet Project, Podcast 3, with two very special guests today. We have Miss Texas, Whitney Miller, soon to be Miss America. And then we have Nick the Ghost Gonzalez, soon to be, I don't know, is it going to be boxing champion of the world? Is it going to be MMA champion of the world, Nick?
I'm going to add another title to my MMA.
Yeah, so sticking with the MMA, but you have a boxing match coming up, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's going to be this Friday at the Frank Irwin Center. It's on ESPN, Friday Night Fights, so make sure you tune in to catch that. It's just a little 4-rounder. I'm fighting another guy. He's another local guy. So I'm pretty excited about it. I was kind of mentioning earlier before we started. He's kind of taking it lightly, and he's not really taking the fact that I've had over 40 professional fights. They're not all boxing, kickboxing, boxing, MMA, and I'm a champion. So I mean, you don't become a champion by just waking up and drinking something. It takes hard work and dedication. So
you're saying it's going to end badly for this
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. He thinks it's a sparring session.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, no, he's going night. I'm pretty excited about it, and I've heard a lot. I've been in the gym a lot, and boxing gyms have sparred throughout town. So a lot of the old school guys around town and people that do know of my abilities, they know that I can box very well. So they're like, man, this guy's not taking it like serious. So, go in there and whip his ass. I'm like, all right.
There you go.
That was the
Time
plan
for a
anyway.
wake-up call,
Yeah.
huh?
4 rounds of boxing.
Yeah.
You can just kind of unleash the beast in that. I mean, 3-minute rounds.
3-minute rounds.
You're used to
yeah.
those 5-minute MMA rounds.
5-minute rounds, yeah. So it just, you adjust a little bit. I mean, you have to stay busier in a certain way. I mean, you're a little more active. Your legs definitely had to be a lot stronger than the MMA fights. I mean, I don't say MMA guys aren't in shape because it's a different conditioning, but I mean, you're on your feet. You're constantly bouncing. It's 3-minute round. It goes quick, but there can be 3 minutes in MMA can be on the ground. You're not really, stressing up your body as much. You're not jumping around. So nobody's punching you in the face. I've had fights in MMA where guys, they're trying to grab me the whole time, take me down because they were homos. And I was hitting him in the face. I was like, get off me. No, but you could fight a guy the whole time he's just trying to get you down because that's what he wants. And you spend a lot of time on the ground. It's a different conditioning, but I feel really good, man. I mean, I was already going to fight May 4th, an MMA fight, but it got canceled. And then this came up. I mean, I was already in the gym, so it's a good opportunity.
Yep. And then straight from there out to Dominic Cruz training camp, right?
Yeah, I believe the 10th to Las Vegas. I think they finished the camp till June 2nd because he's out there filming The Ultimate Fighter. So he has to be out there till June 2nd. And then they go out to Vegas, back to San Diego to finish his camp, and then he fights July 7th. So and that's another thing, too. It's like, I've been in his camp several times, and, you're in a camp with world champion and other guys like that. I mean, you're taking some and you're giving some ass whipping. So,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, this guy is thinking it's going to be a cakewalk. I'm like, all right, dude. I'm not intimidated by him. And that's the funny thing too. Is like, he's not intimidating me. And I don't know if he's thinking that I'm going to get to the Irwin Center and the TV, the cameras, and all that shit is going to freak me out. And I'm like, dude, like, really? Like, that's going to scare me? Like,
you've been in Strike Force, you've been in Japan, you've been all over the place. It's not going to bother you.
Yeah, at all. So.
But how it's got to be a bit different, and just how's the mindset different from a boxing match versus an MMA match? I've watched both, and I've commented myself that there seems to be an epic quality about an MMA match that I haven't quite seen matched in a boxing match. Somehow, even those small amount of rules that they have, the ability to duck a punch and just hang on to somebody and let the ref separate you, it kind of removes a bit of that kind of epic primal quality that I find in MMA. Do you feel that different, or does it feel like you're going ready to die just like an MMA match?
Me personally, though, I'm ready to die in any fight. I mean,
yeah.
No, you've seen I've gone to sleep. I'll go out swinging. That's just me as a fighter.
Right.
But how's it different?
How's it different with boxing?
It's the element of knowing, like, I'm not gonna worry about anything else other than him punching me.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying you duck under a punch, you get clinched up. Well, in MMA, the guy's gonna start trying to knee you. He can throw you. He can elbow you. I mean, there's a lot of other things that you got to kind of be wary of. So that's what makes it, I think, a little more intense. Because, as soon as you get in, you miss a punch, you move, you duck, you get into a clinch. You got to be expecting, something. Something's gonna come.
Sure.
He's gonna try to knee you. He's gonna throw you down. He might jump and fly and armbar you or whatever. I mean, that's what the dynamic and the excitement of MMA. I think what makes it a little more just like.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the intensity in people.
That epic quality.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was out in Atlanta for that John Jones fight.
Yeah.
John Jones Rashad. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Did
unfortunately.
you catch that, Whitney?
No, I didn't.
You didn't catch any of those. But you know,
why not, Whitney?
I know, right?
What are you doing? I'm doing my hair.
But yeah, I mean, although the fight was cool, you know, it wasn't like the best fight in the world, but the kind of anticipation in the arena, you know, for those two guys that hate each other, and the threat of imminent violence from John Jones, you know, like not knowing how it's going to come, where it's going to come from, spinning elbow, spinning back kick, flying knee, whatever the hell he's going to do. The tension that everybody felt was just incredible. Like, you can't really match that. And I remember another time I saw that was Chuck Liddell Rampage, which was another terrible fight. But the build up to that, you know, in that arena with those two guys not liking each other, kind of an audience that was pretty polarized.
Yeah.
It's just really, it's unlike anything else that you've seen. For anybody who hasn't seen an MMA fight live, you get something different out of that than you would just watching it on TV.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. I had to feel like the energy and the vibe when you're watching it live has to be crazy, because I've never seen anything live. I've seen bits and pieces on TV, but actually being there and feeling the energy and the tension, like you were saying, just has to be unreal. Yeah,
I mean, especially when the fighters don't like each other, and you know, you can kind of sense it, and I guess maybe it kind of builds the crowd hype up as well. You know, and like this John Jones Rashad, I mean, it was just electric in there. And when everything was going down, I mean, people were reacting strongly, you know. But then, you know, the fight didn't quite maybe live up to what people thought, but it was still a pretty good fight, I thought.
It reminded me when I was watching it after like the first round, I think it slowly started to turn into like a Floyd Mayweather fight where, I mean, and it's not taking anything away from Floyd, because I actually, the last probably year or two, I've become a bigger fan of his. You know, that is kind of on the down low, because, you know, he is kind of brash and asshole. I don't like that part about him, but he, you know, again, same thing. He's a champion for a reason. He's won over 41 fights and he's undefeated because he's a hard worker. He really is, as brash as he is. But he's so good that you watch his fights like Mosley, or you know, when he knocked out who did he knock out? Ricky Hatton. It's just how he just picks him apart and just kind of shuts him down. Like Mosley, from like round I think 5 on, was just like Mosley was just standing there watching every punch that came at his face, almost like Rashad was just like dumbfounded at what John Jones is gonna do. He's like I don't know why the fuck he kept reaching out and touching his hands after the first elbow. He's like, boom, don't do that again. And then his corner's like, don't do it again. You know, and I had a lot of faith in Rashad because he has a good camp out there with the Black Zillions. And the thing that made me really excited is I don't know how much time he got spent with Roy Jones Jr., but, you know, Roy Jones, I think, worked him a bit. But Tyrone Spong, I thought was going to be the big difference. Tyrone Spong, if you've never seen him, you got to YouTube that guy. He's one of the best kickboxers in the world. And you're sparring rounds with that guy, I mean, consistently, there's nothing that John Jones is going to do to you. I mean, maybe a little more unpredictable, but you could go with that guy. You know, this guy's the best.
But then how do you mimic an extra 10-inch reach advantage?
That's the other thing,
you know, I mean, we looked up at the fight sets, 10-inch reach advantage. The guy throws elbows, and it's the same length as my punch.
Oh my gosh!
You know, I mean, so it's just another kind of another level. I thought Rashad was going to try and take him down a lot more, but
me too.
Jones,
I really did.
I mean, he tried a couple times, and Jones just stuffed it like it was nobody's, you know, no problem at all. I mean, after I saw what Jones did to Ryan Bader, you know, stuffing those shots and just kind of manhandling him. Bader's a sick wrestler. I didn't think that was going to work for Rashad, but he did clip him with that head kick, though.
That was one thing, actually.
Cool.
Rudy and I talked about that. You know, Rudy was like, "Why did he just not jump on him?" You know that, and then he also landed an overhand right at counter.
Yeah.
But then it looked like once he did that, it's like that's all he was waiting on. He's like, "Okay, here it is."
But then he didn't throw that head kick anymore.
Exactly.
He should have. You got to go Crow Cop from Pride.
Yeah, I mean, he has a knockout with a head kick.
Just keep throwing it up there.
Exactly. Eventually it'll land. If you throw like 10, one of them will land.
Or go, you know, like was it Kung Lee who broke Shamrock's arm with it?
Right.
You know, you block it enough times, it's going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
You know, that was his only chance.
Man.
I mean, holding hands and getting elbowed in the face.
That was so sad. Watching that, I was like, oh my God. Is he really going to do that again?
There was no knockout, but there was like an ego knockout when John Jones took him kind of by the collar and tripped him a little bit and slammed him one arm down. That was it.
You
can't really talk shit after that.
That's, you know, big brother, little brother.
Yeah.
You know, he owned him. He had his tail between his legs. You know. The hype, I think, is just what pissed me off. You know, it was like, again, like watching Mayweather, you know, his hype on the fights, and then he just shuts the guy down. He's so good. You're like, knock him out.
Yeah.
You know, put him away.
Yeah, not this time. He usually does. But going back to what I was saying about the live fights, it's also then a whole other layer when you know somebody and you're good friends with them, and then you're watching them fight, and then that's a whole different story. I mean, I've been there watching you in victory and defeat, and obviously, victory. It's one of the best feelings you can have. You feel like you're right there. You're up on the cage yelling, and then we're yelling, and it's fucking awesome.
Y'all are trying to get on the cage too, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like the best thing you can imagine. And then, when you lose, it's fucking terrible. It's crushing. It's this helpless feeling of like, why can't I help my friend? It's like he's in there just to live or die on his own. And I think that adds some of the epic quality. I've also, obviously been there with my good friend Roger, and we'll all head out there and check him out too. But it's another level. It's another level checking that out. So Whitney, you were also an athlete besides being Miss Texas on the way to becoming Miss America.
Right, there we go.
Yeah. So you started off in real surfing or wake surfing? What was your first?
Real surfing. Yeah. When I was, 13, I started, or 12 or something, started surfing. I'm from Corpus Christi, so South Texas, and that's what we did.
There's no beaches in Corpus you can surf on.
please. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, right.
Be careful challenging Whitney. We'll set up a foot race out here.
I tried.
You want to race? Let's go. Aubrey almost got beat.
I had to think about it.
This is a scary moment.
I know, because as soon as he said, racer, I was like, wait a minute.
We decided to sprint, and I came out at about 92%. And she was pulling away like a motherfucker. I had to dig deep. I had to dig like Rottweiler.
He made it though.
Rottweiler chasing me deep.
Yeah.
To pull out of this.
Awesome.
So I just couldn't live with it. Yeah. So I went to 105%. But all right, so you started off real surfing out there in Corpus. Huge monster waves, right? That's like the north. It's like the North Shore out there, right?
I wish. Yeah. No, I mean, we'll get hurricane souls every once in a while, and then that's when we all go out. But other than that, you gotta go out there and just see what you can get.
Yeah.
And really sucks, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Well, it got you to be a professional wake surfer.
Yeah, that's right. So it's all lake based now. I don't have a beach here in Austin, so we go out in the lake and wait down one side of the boat. They actually have boats that are, made for wake surfing. So I mean, on me, I'm a petite girl, so the wake can be anywhere from my waist to my chest high, and it's so fun.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen wake surfing and checked it out, you should YouTube it. Do you have any videos up or anything?
Yeah, there'll be some up there. We're filming soon, so a brand new video is going to come out within the next couple of months. Check it out on YouTube.
Yeah,
see it there.
Check it out. Wake surfing, Whitney Miller. She's out there shredding some fresh water. It's pretty dope.
So that's awesome that you surf. I tried when I was in San Diego, and I was not successful at all.
Well, it's like there's that
I even had
that
like
the
handicap board, like the really
big one.
The big,
like an
thick,
ironing
like,
board.
foam ones.
You can just stand up any way you want on that board.
I was like, go, come on, paddle. They're like, paddle. I'm like, I'm trying.
Maybe it's because your arms couldn't reach over the side.
I know. I was like, y'all got like a paddle, like an extension I can use. Give me some flippers.
You could get one of those Hawaiian like oar surfboards.
I want a paddle board on like what they have here at Lake Travis. That looks relaxed. You stand up on the board. Generally kind of the same thing. It's a big board like that.
It's thrilling. I'll tell you that. It's thrilling.
Whatever. It looks safe, man.
It's extremely
almost
safe.
Drowned trying to surf. I got up once and like I was like, oh, I'm up, and then like when I wiped out, I was just like, all right, that's it.
I mean, you can get worked out there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's definitely hard. I mean, keeps your shoulders really lean, I bet, huh?
Yeah.
You gotta do a lot of paddling.
Yeah.
Out there? Or just in shape in general. Yeah. Your core, because you're having to jump up like that. It's all core.
Paddling out, I think, is the hardest thing.
You have a
to
six
do.
pack?
Yeah.
It keeps you in good shape. I mean, I'm dead serious. You don't ever see a fat surfer. I mean, they're all like lean guys and stuff. I mean,
it's true.
One of the guys that trained at the San Diego, he's like a state champion from his high school in surfing.
He's only like a state champion?
Yeah, they have it, I guess, in high school out there
Wow.
in California. So,
yeah.
And we have that here, too, in Texas.
Really?
We do, yeah.
Now? Okay. Well,
all right.
Texas is coming up.
We
watch
are.
out. Like now they have
Gulf of Mexico's really got it going on.
So did you just crush the other high schools and
I don't know.
competitions?
When we were in high school, we didn't have like a high school team. We had the Texas Gulf Surfing Association, where it was just everyone came together and did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you decided to get into pageant work. right? So
Yeah.
when did that start for
Well,
you?
that started, my first pageant was Miss Corpus Christi, and I was late to rehearsals. I missed all the rehearsals because there was a hurricane swell that came in, and I went surfing instead.
All right, so at least you were old enough to surf when you started. So how old
I
were
was
you
16.
when you started? Yeah.
I was Miss
Right
Corpus
on.
Christi teen, so I was 16, my first pageant. Went in there and won somehow. I don't know how it happened. I was sunburned. I was ridiculous. And
you're
so,
gangster.
yeah, totally. Then I went to Miss Texas teen, did horrible, blew it, did a really bad job.
Well, how do you do a really bad job? Because it seems like, I mean,
I-
for people who don't know, it seems like you just kind of show up,
Right,
and smile.
you walk
but
up there
I
and
want to find
smile.
out what's deeper, like what more is
Oh my
involved.
gosh. There's so much that goes into it. I know people are like, whatever. Okay,
No,
all you
I-
do is walk up there and smile and wave and
I'm,
kiss people.
I'm
Like,
behind you. I mean, I know it's hard because I've watched Miss Congeniality a few times.
there you go.
That gives you good
All the
insight
behind
on
the
it.
scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, you have like an interview coach, you have a walking coach, you know where to look, you know where to smile. Like, it's crazy how to stand.
Yeah, but does that really matter to the judges? I mean, at the end of the, are they really judging on that? Or they're like, that bitch is hot.
Yeah, no, I
And then they
mean,
just lean
if
over.
she's really pretty, she's going to be pretty. But I mean, think about it. You have a hot chick, but then she
Right.
walks into interview and can't speak. Like, you know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
those
yeah.
girls that you see
Yeah,
that are
sure.
super hot, and then something comes out of their mouth, and you're like, whoa.
That doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me. Just give me a
All
few
the
drinks,
girls are
it'll be all
great.
right.
The beer goggles come
Yeah,
out.
exactly. No, I'm kidding. No, you're absolutely right, I think.
Well, I feel like that with guys, too.
Yeah. Well,
mean,
guys is a whole other. I mean, that's a whole other dynamic as well. Because if a guy can't speak, those good looks are going to get him earning, $9 an hour.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a bit of a problem.
Right.
Down the road, presumably.
True.
So charm and those things, it's earning power for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, it's coming along that way for women, but it's not quite the same dramatic
Right.
effect. It's,
Right.
A little pretty guy is cute for a while, but after, you start thinking about
Looks-
trying to raise a
looks a
family.
little old,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so back to pageant. We'll get more into that later, but back to pageant. So you gotta prepare, your charm, your eloquence, things like that,
Right.
as well as everything else. So
So
take
that was
us
my
through,
problem.
yeah.
That was
Okay.
my problem at Miss Texas Teen, the second pageant I did. Huge pageant. I went in there. I mean, I was trained to a T. Like, at least I thought I was. I went through all of these sessions trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. And I went in there and I wasn't who I normally am. Like, I didn't go in there having a conversation. You wouldn't ask me a question and I would give you the typical pageant answer.
Right.
And I'm totally not that girl at all. I mean,
Right.
we've hung out. Like,
Right.
I'm not that girl. So, I decided not to do it anymore. And a week and a half before Miss Texas United States, a girlfriend of mine was like, do it. And I said, no, there's no way I'm doing it. I have no desire to do it. Somehow
So you
ended up doing it.
you won Miss Corpus Christi.
when I
You
was
went to Miss
16.
Teen Texas and blew it.
Right.
And then you were just like, fuck it, I'll try Miss Texas.
Like 6 years later.
So you don't have like an illustrious
No,
career
no.
of pageanting.
I could not handle that, to be completely honest. I could not. I would go crazy. I mean, there's girls out there that love it, and, more power to you. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Because I'm like, let's go on the water, let's go on the lake, let's go surf. Let's do something else.
Right.
But, so like 6 years later, a week and a half before, I ended up borrowing my dress, my swimsuit, my heels, everything, and completely changed everything and decided, you know what, I'm going to walk in there and be exactly who I am. Have a conversation with them, with these judges, give them the answers that they probably won't hear from the other girls, just because I'm being straight up with them. And I told the judges that during the interview. I said, he goes, you seem like such a free spirit. Why are you doing pageants? And I said,
What an
reason.
odd question for a judge,
Right.
as if they're cultivating non-free spirits,
Right?
like
I
these
know.
drone-ish slave pageant girls.
I know.
you
Well, some girls are like that. I guess other girls are kind of their own.
You probably get a lot
free
of
spirit.
like cookie cutter girls that were trained. They
Right.
go up there.
No,
and
you
we're
definitely
robotic,
do.
you know?
Mhm.
And
Well,
it's
I
just
imagine
like-
if you'd been pageanting since you were like, tiny, that 5-year-old creepy pageant kind of program.
Right.
I imagine that's got to be tough. You got to be at that age. You shouldn't be worried about what you look like and being judged
Because
for.
you are being judged.
Yeah,
everything.
little girls should not be getting judged on all these fucking criteria about their makeup and their.
Right.
It's crazy. It's got to fuck them up a little bit.
I don't know if I didn't do it. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
but
I think that's going to play probably to your advantage.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so. We'll see.
Well,
we'll find out.
Worked
pulling for
in
you.
Miss Texas.
I'm pulling for you.
Oh,
Also,
thanks.
probably that perfect score on your swimsuit.
Yeah,
didn't
that
hurt
definitely
either.
helped.
So
I was
only
excited
time
about
ever,
that.
only time ever in Miss Texas
An
history.
interview. Yeah.
You got
Okay.
a perfect score?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was excited. So I
Awesome.
won the swimsuit award and didn't think I was going to win the crown because I was like, okay, I'm pumped with swimsuit. I'm down, whatever. And then they called my name for the crown and I totally didn't believe it at all. So my goal is to win the crown and swimsuit at Miss United States this year.
That's awesome.
July. Let's do it. Let's bring the crown back.
Bring it.
Bring it.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it to Texas.
Bring it back to Austin.
Who owns
yeah.
it? Who owns it now? Who's Miss America right now?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Virginia's whack. Bring it back to
I went to school in Virginia. Virginia's all right. Yeah.
Never been to Virginia.
University of Richmond.
Timberland.
Spiders?
Timberland's like the only thing in Virginia. And Virginia Beach. No.
Well, as I've explained to you before, I think the key factor is that if you believe you're going to win, the judges will believe you're going to win.
Right.
People take you at your own estimation more often than not, and I think probably, some of your confidence and swagger from just being a robust person in your last competition, certainly helped. I mean, that's always going to push you through, but, in dating and everything, that's why you see some of these guys with, really ugly guys, beautiful girls, and they don't even have money or anything, but they're somehow weirdly confident. And you're like, how the fuck are you confident? But they are, and the girls believe them.
No, it's
and
true.
so,
yeah.
they're taking these guys at their own estimation of themselves, because who knows them better than themselves? Who knows you better than you?
Right.
So if you believe that you are an amazing catch, people will believe you as well. It's kind of one of the fundamental laws of the universe. So,
Well, I know when it comes to like pageants, they tell you when you walk on stage, you need to be thinking to yourself, I am Miss United States. Like,
Right.
This is my crown. I'm going to have this in an hour from now.
Being confident.
Yeah, being really confident. And that's what's great about, the pageant girls that are out there. There's some pageant girls, you have to be a really strong and confident girl to get up there. I mean, you're being judged by thousands of people on every single little tiny thing. So you got to be ready for it.
To be good. Or you shut off and become a robot and just go through the motions.
Right, and you don't win, you don't do anything.
You just cut it off. You just go Prozac on it and
Mm-hmm.
just put the wall up. But
And I know it sounds corny, but there's a lot like behind having the crown too. Like, it's not just having that crown that you can hang on the wall and then be like, oh yeah, I was Miss Texas. No, like, you got to go out there and get your hands dirty. Like, we do appearances all the time.
Yeah, sure.
We're doing things all the time to raise money for charities, regardless if you got to take time out of whatever you want to be doing to really help other people. And I find it enjoyable. So I think it's great. The next Miss Texas, she's got to get out there and do some work for sure.
You've set the bar high, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you gone to Supercuts yet?
Oh, I haven't made it there yet.
I met Miss Texas, I told you, right? 1993, Miss Texas met her at Supercuts when I was getting my hair cut.
What was she doing there, Nick?
Charity work.
Charity.
Okay.
So
Getting her
Nick,
haircut?
did you try and close the deal with her, or what happened?
At that time in my life, I didn't have confidence. So no.
You just couldn't
Yeah,
make it
I was
happen.
just staring at her like, oh god.
That's funny. Yeah, I think so. So when you're up there, they're telling you to say, I'm going to win this. This is mine. So it's kind of you could call that, actually it's called neuro-linguistic programming. And you can basically program yourself through your own words into believing whatever you want to believe. And it's a way to kind of, because if you constantly tell yourself, oh, I fucking suck, wow, you worthless piece of shit. I've heard people with that internal monologue, they'll actually believe themselves when they say it, even if they don't really think they mean it. You say that enough times, you're going to believe it. But you say the opposite, you program yourself the opposite way, like, I'm a winner, I'm going to blah, 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 I'm going to do whatever you want to do. Program it that way. You can actually program yourself the opposite way.
Oh, I totally agree.
So yeah, it's definitely a valuable technique. And then I'm sure visualization, I think that's something that's also important for fighters, I would say, as well.
I was just actually thinking about that because I know I've taken fights, where I probably shouldn't have, I know I shouldn't have, and they go on your record as a loss, and who fights Eve Edwards on their week, on a week notice when he's like one of the number 5 guy in the world, at that time.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
But, I had just came off of a knockout win in Denver in the World Combat League, so I was confident. But more than anything, I was just thinking, I've always believed in myself, whether anybody else believed in me. Like I believed in myself and my abilities. So, and I'll go in there.
But are there times where that belief is, at 110% or 90%? Like, are there times where it's like you fucking just know that you're gonna win, and there's other times where you're like, yeah, you believe in yourself, you've worked hard. Can you tell the difference beforehand, or can you tell the difference afterwards?
I think when you get, the closer you get, you start try to break it down a little more mentally. That's when you kind of start weighing. Like, I wouldn't say you back off, because you always want to believe in yourself 110. You start questioning things like, damn it, is this a good fight for me? This is a bad stylistic matchup. I'm fighting out of my weight class. What am I doing? Oh no, if I hit this motherfucker, I'm gonna knock him out. Then you rebuild.
So you talk yourself back into it.
Yeah.
I think it really seems that just watching these fighters and people going through, there's a certain level of undeniable confidence that some people have. Where they just know they're going to win, and they impose that will upon their opponent. And then you see some of these guys take a loss, and then it's like, it's not quite the same game anymore.
Yeah, no, they sink.
It's that kind of unshakable confidence where, like, I cannot be beat starts to
I don't know who quoted it or who said it recently, but more so it's true, if not even a quote. It's you can't really determine how strong you are when you're on top. It's when you fall down and you're at the lowest point, when you got to rebuild yourself. And that's actually what I've been kind of going through myself. I think, personally, that last year was probably one of the worst years I've had of my career, and I can't even think of a year that bad. I was like, in the controversial fight down in the end, when I fought in South Texas, 9 seconds left, I'm whipping the guy's ass, and the doctor decides to stop the fight. Well, you're fighting a local guy, the hometown doctor, the hometown guy. You're like, yeah, he was probably at the doctor's room last night, cuddling with him, and he's like, hey man, the guy was a punk. I to me, this day, the guy ever comes close to me, I'll slap him, just because I think he's a coward, and I don't have any respect for him.
The fighter or the doctor?
The fighter and the doctor. Well, no,
all of them.
All of them. Fuck them all. I'm playing. No, but the doctor, I think he just freaked out, because the cuts were pretty nasty.
It was nasty, but 9 seconds.
But I was also winning.
Yeah,
still.
I know you're winning. Like, you're winning the fight.
With one eye.
So for people who obviously didn't see the fight, Nick was winning the fight, dominated the first and the third round, but had a nasty fucking cut under his eye. I mean, it was bad. It was swollen and nasty. But the doctor came up with 9 seconds left and called the stop to the fight.
Yeah, and
4:51 in the third round in a fight that you had
9
in the bag.
Yeah.
So obviously Nick was not too
what? And then it was over after that?
Yeah, and then they stop, and then he gets the victory.
End of the fight.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God!
That was,
I didn't have a lot of nice things to say to the doctor afterwards, because then they had to send me to the emergency room to get stitched up. I was like, get the fuck out of my face, man! Like, you robbed me. What kind of human being are you? But the doctor doesn't understand what all goes into going and training for a fight. And what for me, where I guess I was too mentally last year. I think, just like I said, at a low point trying to rebuild. I lost the big Strikeforce fight, which was kind of a deal breaker. I think if I had won that one, that would have got me closer to the big show, and probably I would have been in by summertime. But I lose in a really ugly fashion to come back and then knock out a guy. And keep that momentum going, and then I get this fight right before the end of the year, and I thought, okay, cool, I'll close the year with two wins and rack up 2 more next year, get my win streak 4 wins back, and that was my plan. I was thinking like that, and I think emotionally I was not at my strongest, and I think that kind of led me to fight not my best. I was fighting probably like 90%, and it wasn't 100% Nick the Ghost, but I was still like whipping his ass and chasing him around the ring and pummeling him. So
I guess the idea of, you want to be in a place where you would call it the zone, or you would call it in that ultimate level where you see the punches coming before they happen. I've seen you in that mode and that's kind of how you got your nickname. It's almost like you can just feel everything that's happening. Your confidence is there. Your combinations are from, instead of 3 shots, they're 7. They're 7 punches. And I can even tell some of the difference in that. And I really think it's a confidence game. And I think you can really apply that to every aspect of life. And whatever you're doing is getting that kind of confidence and flow. And part of it is preparation. for sure. I was talking to Joe Rogan, and he just did his comedy special, and he was saying how in all his other comedy specials, he gets nervous beforehand. You would get nervous, and obviously because it's a big deal, this is your time that you have to do it perfect, and et cetera. But this time he was just able to really lock in the zone and get it right. And he was saying, well, step one was that, he was on the road doing his show like every day for a couple weeks. So his preparation was immaculate, so I think that's a key part of it. And then, some other parts, so beyond preparation is, this kind of visualization, and then just putting yourself in that optimal mental state that's going to allow you to perform, effortlessly, flawlessly. And I think, it's kind of like a tricky thing that a lot of people chase, and try and find. You don't know when you're going to get it and when you're not going to get it. But if you could actually try and more scientifically reproduce that state, you would be, very, very difficult to defeat in any enterprise, whether it's, a pageant or whether it's whatever. It's this almost contagious feeling of confidence that certain athletes, certain performers get. Mm-hmm. So how do you get back there? I think, one strategy would be the neuro-linguistic program. Keep telling yourself constantly throughout the thing. Just tell yourself, even if you don't fully believe what you're telling yourself, like, I'm going to win, I'm going to be a champion. Nick the Ghost is going to be the champion at this weight class or whatever. And you just tell yourself constantly, and hearing your own voice, and you say it out loud, hearing your own voice, reinforcing that all the time is going to make a difference. Same for you. I'm going to be Miss America. How does it feel to be Miss America? It feels great. And you start talking yourself into it. And then I think that's certainly one strategy. Another strategy is the, visualization, just kind of visualizing yourself with a crown or yourself with a belt. And then at some point though, you got to just let it go. Mm-hmm. You just got to drop it from your mind and embrace that kind of Zen samurai philosophy of just no mind. Get your mind out of the way, because your mind is what's producing the doubts. Your soul, that infinite part of you, believes that you can achieve that because it knows what it's possible. It sees the realm of possibility, and it knows that it's possible, and it knows that you can do it. It's just your mind that's going to get in the way.
Yeah, totally.
So you just got to push that out of the way and then just become soul and body directly, And so the mind doesn't play a part. And when the soul's driving the ship and the body's in good condition, you can't be beat. Mm-hmm. I think that's the key.
And I know for even pageants, like we have the final contest or the final competition that you're being judged on is the final question. You walk out, you're in front of everybody, you have no idea what you're going to be asked. And I remember just letting everything go. I couldn't control it at that point. Yeah. I was either going to win or I was going to go up there and just completely blow it. Yeah. So I went up there, just letting go. I remember looking out and I couldn't see the crowd because the lights were so bright. So I just kind of like looked into the lights and then turned towards the MC and was like, all right, let's do this. Yeah. What do you got? Yeah. But I was going to ask you, Nick, as far as like going out there, when you get like popped in the face or someone, kicks you, whatever it is, when MMA or you're boxing, does that like bring out like more adrenaline? Like, can you feel the pain, or do you just keep pushing harder and harder and harder? Yeah,
I mean, you're kind of, your adrenaline's so high, and you're kind of in. It's almost like, for me, it's almost like a dream. It's like very surreal. It's like, oh, he just hit me. And
like, it's just like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I've never, I've broke my hand, I've had my arm broken, I've had cuts, stitches bleeding, and you don't really feel it until afterwards. Like the time when my arm was broken, it was broken as I was, beating the crap out of the guy. I knocked him down. He's hurt. I'm like, I'm gonna, finish him. And he throws an arm bar up and he gets it. And I'm like, shit. And I'm trying to get out, and pop, there goes my arm. The referee stops it. They come and check me out. Doctor lets me go. I keep fighting, but I just remember looking over at my trainer Rudy, and I'm like, how much time? And he's just like, he's kind of freaking out. He's like, just fight. And I was like, all right. But I knew there wasn't much time left, so I ended up winning. But, it was like, yeah, everybody, yay, I'm excited. Ooh, fans, crowd. I get to the dressing room, and I kind of cooled down. I'm like, oh, my fucking God, my arm is killing me. Like, Rudy had to help me put my clothes on, put my pants on and shit. I mean,
so did you not know it was broken until you got?
No, I mean, there's something bad happened to it. Because I heard it, and
I remember watching that fight.
Oh, you there? Yeah, you were there.
You couldn't throw anything.
No, it was like, they get me back, and they're like, you ready? Because they had to restart us, and I'm like, all right. They're like, fight. And I was like, whoop, my arm just kind of falls back, and it's kind of like this rice noodle arm. Like I couldn't fling it, but nothing really hurts until afterwards. I mean, everything sounds. I mean, that's why I guess maybe going to and actually seeing one live, like when somebody gets kicked in the leg really hard and you just hear that noise, you're like, yeah, that hurt. Like it just sounds like the intensity. You're like, oh shit, But I mean, some guys are conditioned better than others. I mean, obviously with something like a leg kick, but even just getting hit in the face, like I don't get pissed off. It's just like I'm like really like in my focus, in my zone, because fighting emotionally is wrong. I mean, if you get mad that you got hit, then
you're gonna get tired.
Yeah,
the adrenaline levels are so unbelievably high. I mean, even in like a hard sparring, you stop feeling the shots that you're taking. Weirdly, it's just impact and damage. It's like you turn into like a computer. You're like, damage in the damage in the right quadrant. Meanwhile you're like bleeding.
I was
profusely.
recently sparring with getting ready for this fight, and the guy I'm sparring with is probably, I guess, the best prospect coming out of Austin right now as far as boxing. He's ranked nationally. He's an amateur dude, been looked at by like some of the bigger agencies. Really good amateur boxer, but he's a little bigger than me. He fights at a heavier weight class and everything, but guy is just phenomenal. His speed, his power, and you go around with this guy, you're like, all right, whoever I'm fighting, I'm gonna fuck him up because this guy is the baddest,
Yeah.
But that's what it takes. You have to fight, Well, for MMA, I was getting ready for the MMA fight, so I trained with better boxers, better jiu-jitsu guys, better wrestlers for that reason. But anyway, so when I was just sparring with him, I remember one time he hit me, and I was like, oh, shit. And, like, I said shit really loud. And, again, this is the adrenaline, though, but part of it. But I was like, I think he broke my nose. But I'm still, like, fighting, and I'm kind of laughing about it. But my brain did say fuck really loud because he hit me. It was just, like, perfect on my nose. And I was like, I thought I didn't think it was broken, but I thought, okay, shit, I'm going to start bleeding any second now. But it was just like one of those little, like, I guess punches when you're like a kid. You get like socked in the nose and your eyes get watery.
Yeah, I was
like, motherfucker, like.
How do you continue to see anything?
No, I grabbed his ass. I was like, oh, I think he broke my nose. And like I tied him up a little bit, but kind of giggled. But I mean, that too also I think just with, the experience of just doing it so many times, sparring so many times. I mean, I've been fighting for 11 years now. It's just like
what about the nerves? Because I remember when I was playing basketball, you'd go through the national anthem and breathe deep. I mean, we'd get up to 5,000 people out to our games, and so it'd be a pretty big deal. And and then sometimes the nerves. Sometimes you come right out of the gate and you're just like a fucking tiger,
racehorse,
and you're just ready. But other times it would take me like going playing some defense and hitting my guy in the chest, like some kind of physical contact before I could, get the nerves out and really, get a sweat, get somebody who I can, feel and like start to push. Does that ever happen to you in fighting where it's like you have to have that first exchange or that first kind of clinch before you get the nerves out?
I mean, at times, yeah. I mean, there's been times where, I don't, but then there's a lot of times that you're just like, all right, here we go. And all right, yeah, we're fighting now. Then you kind of get woken up, Sometimes it happens with me, I think, just because I fucking hate the announcement. Like, I wish they could just get us in the ring, ready, fight. I love it. I mean, I guess for the MMA, you watch, like in the UFC, you watch a guy like Bruce Buffer. He gets so fucking into it. He's like, you're just like, you're ready to go. But it's just that long fucking 3 or 4 minutes. So if you really time it's about 5 minutes.
Walk us through that. I mean, what are you feeling during that?
Okay, here I go. Okay, I walk out. This is me walking out my feet.
All right.
I get out. Walk. Yeah, it's a fast walk. I'm going to fucking get in there and fight.
It's like a sea walk.
Yeah. That's my Speedy Gonzalez walk. It's a Mexican walk. So, it's just when you get in there, like, I'm in the back, I'm warmed up, I'm going, I'm getting in my zone, I'm focused, I'm thinking about my preparation on my training and shit. And I get out there, I walk out. You hear people, you see people sticking their hands out, you kind of whatever. You're just in the zone, tunnel vision. It's like, there's a fucking ring. There's the ugly ring girls. There are the judges. I need to get in there. I need to fight. So then you get ready.
They're the ugly ring girls.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But so anyway, so then you get in there and it's like, okay, your gloves you're on, your mouthpiece is in, your shirt's off, your Vaseline's on. You're ready. You're seeing the bright lights.
It sounds like a Saturday night.
It is. It's Saturday Night Fights.
Shirts off.
In the
Vaseline's on.
That did sound good. That was bad, right? Sorry,
all right, continue.
So then, Vaseline on your chest. But no, yeah, you're there. You're greased up. You got mouthpiece in, cup, jog. I mean, the referee checks you out. You go in, and you're there, and you're kind of doing your thing.
So you kind of just go through motions you're familiar with. But when does it really kind of set in?
When the announcer walks in, it takes fucking 30 minutes to announce both fighters.
So it's that kind of quiet where you run out of stuff to do. You're no longer walking. You're no longer getting greased.
Now you're like,
you're no longer checking your cup. You've done your little walk around the ring. Your intro music is over.
Yeah.
And then you just gotta wait.
Yep, and here he comes. He's like fighting out of the red corner.
And now what do you do with your opponent at that point? Do you start thinking about your opponent? Do you try and are you conscious of trying to mind fuck them before you fight them, or are you just kind of in your own world?
Different. Everything that you just said. Different scenarios, different times. I mean, I've personally not liked two guys that I've fought. So I'm looking at them, and I'm just like, I'm going to fuck you up. I mean, I'm going to smash you. I fucking hate you. Like, two guys out of 40-something that I have not personally liked, where I was just like, you're going to get it, And, I smash both of them. Then there's, the guys, or there's the fights where you're just like, you're looking at the guy, you're there, you're kind of, all right. I've done this. I've trained really hard. I've done all my work. I'm a better fitter. He's not going to beat me tonight. Tonight's my night.
Yeah, so you're focused more on yourself at that point.
Yeah, and then there's
so in those circumstances, you go into that, where you stare each other down right before where the ref is explaining the rules, right? Mm-hmm. So how many times when you're actually staring somebody down, I mean, what are you thinking then? I mean, is it real? Are you like really projecting like I'm gonna fucking eat your children, like Tyson? Or are you just like, I got I'm gonna eat children, step on his nuts. Yeah, exactly. Or are you just kind of, you gotta kind of mean mug the guy just because that's what you have to do?
I mean, it's definitely not, you want to go out there smiling and being all friendly and shit. Because, the other guy can be, hey, what's up? Shaking your hands at the weigh-ins, telling you good luck. And if I start, he's going to try to take your fucking head off,
Right.
Or whatever. So you can't give him that edge on you mentally. So you got to get in his face and get in his ass like, yeah, I'm going to fuck you up, man.
So you got to try and alpha him a little bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. You got to have the bigger balls that night. I mean, you have to. I mean, I've had weigh-ins where I've got off the scale, you're there doing the pose off, and the guy sticks his hands up, and just to mentally get in their head, I get up right in their face and just, mad dog them like they owe me money, or like, to me, it's like you're trying to take money from my kids and my family.
And they
are. Fuck you up. Yeah. So, I mean, you have to get the chest out. I'm the alpha male. I'm the alpha ghost. I'm the fucking man. You're not going to beat me. You have to do that. And if you can kind of project that into, I mean, they'll see it, but they're doing it as, the same time too, that they're doing it also. No guys, it's a fighter that I know of is going to go in there and be like, oh, hey, buddy,
They know the game.
Exactly,
Know the game. How about with you, Whitney? Are there any kind of, head games that you play? Do you try, is there any kind of posturing and alphaing in the pageant community? Because I know, you watch Arnold in that documentary Pumping Iron. Have you seen that?
No.
You should see it because, it's a bodybuilding competition, but it's similar to a pageant, right? But he goes to extreme lengths to just completely psych out his opponents. I mean, he just crushes them mentally, like Franco Columbu.
I mean, as far as like talking shit or what?
Different subtle psychological means that he uses, like the Hulk. What was the Hulk's name? That was
Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno.
Didn't he go to his gym one time when Lou was working out and he's like eating cake or he's doing something funny like that?
I do that all the time. I mean, because a swimsuit is really important when it comes down to it, and I naturally have a muscular physique, so. I mean, I'll walk in there, I'll have my little jelly beans, or I'll be eating some brownies, like just no big deal, hanging out. But I'm super nice to all of the girls.
Right.
Just super nice because, I mean, what am I going to be rude to you for? I'm here to win. That's all.
That strategy may not work. The mean strategy may not work.
Well, because there's mean girls out there. I mean, but that's in everyday. I mean, everyday life, there's mean girls. And so, I mean, I've heard horror stories of people cutting up dresses. My dress got stepped on 3 times at Miss Texas Teen right in front of the judges, like, on purpose.
Wow.
And, I was just like, all right, what am I going to do about it now? What am I going to do, pull her dress down or something? Like, no. I just don't really get into the whole game of it. I'm there to win. I'm going to do my best to win.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if, I can psych her out a little bit for swimsuit, I'm gonna do it. I know sometimes we have like pool parties beforehand where we're supposed to meet and greet and you go swimming. So I make sure that my body is in perfect shape and that swimsuit looks damn good when I walk out there.
Yeah, because then they'll have that little bit of doubt when they're
just
walking
a little
around.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's similar to what Arnold used to do. I mean, if you watch it, and I really highly recommend you watch it.
Yeah, I definitely
and everybody actually should watch the documentary. It's fucking awesome. But the way he would just have like, it was like a breakfast with Lou Ferrigno, and I should really see this again. But he's talking about, some aspect of his chest development, like being on track to be ready maybe 8 weeks after the Mr. Olympia, He's like, oh yeah, he's looking pretty good. But, timing, you those are going to look great, in like July and the competition's in May, and so he's already like,
maybe I'll pick up some tips.
Yeah, he's already like in his head. There's some pretty, I mean, he also told some guy, even guys coming up, that could possibly challenge him at some point. He spent like an hour teaching this young buck coming up how to scream when he was flexing, right? And they practiced it, and he's like, "This is the secret. This is what you got."
Awesome.
Yeah. And so the guy gets out there and does it, and it's just dead silence in the crowd. Everybody's like, what are you doing?
That?
I mean, just crush this guy. Just crush this guy. So I mean, that's a little extreme, but I think some of those subtle means I think are probably more effective. Like you said, eating cake. When all these guys have been starving themselves and just pure tuna. And
that's what they do. The girls starve themselves. They won't eat anything. They'll hit the gym and do like cardio like crazy before the night. And I'm thinking, my body is not going to change from tomorrow. It's going to look like this on stage, So let me eat my jelly beans.
Right. I think that's a good strategy. Because then the mean thing, sometimes it works. Maybe if you have like a really weak person, you can really intimidate them. But I know for myself, like if I'm going to play tennis with somebody, right? It's for, and it's going to be some kind of important match. If someone's like, I'm going to fuck you up. Yeah, maybe they're way better than me. They'll fuck me up, whatever. But if we're even and they're going to be psychologically get the advantage, if they're like, oh yeah, I'm playing great. I'm gonna beat you.
See, that pumps me up.
Exactly.
Like, really?
Pumps me up. I'm like, really?
Right.
Yeah. All right, bring it. But if they're like, man, you're really playing great today. Like your backhand looks phenomenal. Like I just hope I can
Great
get the
serve.
Yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, it does look phenomenal. And boom, like hit him into the net. It's like it goes the opposite. You actually can almost psych someone out the other way,
right,
and have it be even more effective.
Well, I do know, like, come to think of it, during rehearsals and stuff, we do have to do like our walk and we have to do our stance like on stage, ready to go, and practice it. And there will be girls that be like, you really need to work on that. You should stand like this, and it's completely wrong, but like they will try to give you tips that are just like, really? No, you don't do that at all. And I'm overhearing some of this stuff. Like, come on. And I got blatantly ignored my first time ever to get stared in the face, ignored in an elevator. You know how awkward it is in an elevator already?
Yeah.
And I'm
try to get in an elevator with a guy you're going to fight. And it's just like, what's up, bro? Ding! This is my floor. Okay, see you later. Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I'm not on this floor anyways, but I'm getting off now.
I'm getting off now. Then I'm like hitting my trainer, Rudy, let's go. Get off now.
Exactly. So there's some definitely mean girls everywhere though.
Yeah, I almost wonder if you could employ the compliment technique in pageanting. Like if someone was, I don't know if there's like practice questions or something like that.
There are.
But if there was like a real threat, I don't know if you want to get involved in this, but I think it may be effective to be like, really, how you start answering those questions is really amazing. Like just how you're immediately eloquent right out of the gates. Compliment some like obscure little fact about how they do, and then they'll start thinking about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, what do I say when I first start these sentences?
And then they're gonna walk out and think that as soon as they ask
that they
question,
that they're expected to be brilliant on their first intro word. Mm-hmm.
Pressure.
So I mean,
I'm standing behind the curtain.
But really, the truth of the matter, I mean, what's gonna get you to win is the fact that you're gonna believe you believe you're gonna win, and that's why we're gonna be doing this podcast with Miss America.
Let's do it.
Come the day. All right. So another issue I wanted to talk about now that a lot of these guys listening here would probably want to know is how does a guy get to catch the eye of a girl such as Miss Texas? What are you looking for in a dude? Now how old are you? You're
22.
22 years
Jesus
old.
Christ.
That's
baby.
That changes a little bit, but there's probably some consistent things that you're looking for in a guy? So what is it that's going to catch your eye?
Okay, well, I definitely want someone that's confident, but not overly confident. I mean, if you are just so into yourself, just don't even bother coming up to me.
But is that really confidence, or is that insecurity masquerading as confidence?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it would just depend on the situation and how it came off.
I mean, like the situation, I'm not convinced he's actually confident in his abs. You know, I mean, why would you be showing him so much? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
oh no, I don't want to do not do that.
He probably has a fat person complex, you know. Maybe
Yeah,
he's a
that's
kid.
what I'm
Maybe
saying.
he's a
That's
kid.
what I'm
He's
saying.
fat. It's like everybody look at my shit now, you know. Like,
I don't like that type of thing at all.
okay.
That like turns me off to the max. I'm thinking like, please.
Guidos or like
Just like check this out. You
Oh,
know, like
yeah.
no.
because
not
that
really.
that actually betrays lower confidence.
Yeah.
Lower confidence for
Like,
sure.
why do
I
you
mean,
show everything off right now?
yeah, I agree. So all right, so confidence is key. But I think people worry that I guess the distinction that I'm trying to make is that true confidence will never seem like too much confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the best champions, you know, they won't even talk about their sport or what they're able to do. They just live it. They just are.
Right.
You know, like you're not going to see John Jones out, you know, trying to mean mug somebody in a bar to prove that he's a fucking badass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's going to be like, someone's going to say something stupid and he's just going to laugh and just kind of smile to himself and think like, if you only knew, motherfucker. You
that's
know?
what I like. I mean, that's because that's kind of how I.
But that's real confidence,
Right.
I think. You
And
know, and I think everything else is just bullshit. Like these guys getting pumped up in the gym and they're fucking all swole to their mind and they're in this big old jack truck. You know, like that
No.
dude's not confident.
he has insecurities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Small penis.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Something.
tiny balls.
Something.
Yeah, tiny
Peanuts.
balls.
Something. I mean, even he can
I can
he
bench
could even
press
be
one
hung,
like
but
that.
you know, I mean, some issue is causing him to have to overcompensate in a certain way.
Right, and I'm all about. I mean, you got to make me laugh. There's got to be something to make me laugh. I mean, I love to laugh. I love to have a good time. And so if you can make me laugh, that's probably key right there. And then honesty. I really have to have somebody that I trust. Because if you don't have trust in a relationship, I mean, it's like, why are you going to the grocery store?
Yeah.
To buy
To
milk.
get food, he has like, I'm hungry.
I'm going to go hit on the cashier.
Well,
what do you think I'm
again,
going to the grocery store for?
Again, that goes to confidence. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, insecurity is the root of this, you know, lack of confidence and jealousy. You know, I mean, if you're truly confident in yourself, if you believe that you are the best catch that this person can get, they'll believe you and they won't even look for anybody else.
Right.
You know, so it comes down ultimately to confidence. So, but sense of humor is another thing, you know, but all right. So that all sounds good if you know somebody, right? You know, I think a lot of the problem a lot of guys have is that, you know, it's hard to get girls, you know, let's just say like yourself, to even get to know them enough to do that. You know, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, obviously through mutual friends can happen, you know, and that's obviously an easier way. You get to really let the part of yourself, you know, interact with the part of them, and then it becomes kind of easy. But is there any way that if you're just out partying or anything, that a guy can just kind of let himself be known and kind of cross the bridge to that first step where you'll actually, you know, pay attention to what he's saying and what he's doing? You know, is there what can a guy do in that kind of situation if they see you out and they want to meet you?
I mean,
Not
I guess
you in particular, but
yeah. Well, I mean, it comes back to confidence. I mean, just take that chance. You know, come up to me. If you want to come up to me and talk to me, come up and talk to me. Or like try to catch my eye from across the room. Because I mean, you can do that when you're out partying and stuff. You know, you go out. Sometimes you see that one person or maybe a couple.
Sure.
I don't know. And yeah, just do it. Go up there. But I really like. I don't think there's anything wrong with the girl making the first move. Like, if you see somebody, I'm going to go and talk to him.
yeah, but that's like winning the lottery. We can't be
Yeah,
telling.
the chances of Miss Texas coming up to you and like, hey, what's up? But
How you doing?
But
How you doing, girl? Yeah.
But I think you've made a point. I mean, I've certainly been there. You'll get a feeling when you're out, and I compare it to. You ever play the game Galaga, Nick? You remember that game where you're all these little bugs?
Oh, the pew pew, you shoot them all. Yeah.
Well, you put out this little tractor beam, right? And the tractor beam attracts more people to your team. You know, and I think there's a certain state that you can get in where it's like you're creating a vortex almost of energy, and it's just, it comes from confidence. You know, so you could be out in a club or out in a bar, and just that kind of swag, that confidence you'll create will create like a vortex, and everybody will start to notice. You know, I think obviously, you know, one of the most clearest times that I've seen that for fighters, particularly, you come off a win. I've seen you in the club after a win, and you're standing on the couches, you're doing fucking your dance,
doing the Dougie.
Yeah, doing the Dougie.
Yeah.
And people just feel that. Like I saw Forrest Griffin at a club after he won the championship, the light heavyweight UFC championship, and he didn't even have to do anything, but he was like lit up like a lantern.
Yeah.
Of just like emanating, like I'm the best motherfucker around. Tonight.
It's an irreplaceable feeling, man. It really is. I mean, I've cannot really put anything to compare it to winning a fight. Jumping on a cage, the victory, just hearing people scream, just getting it out, and then celebrating afterwards with your friends and your family, and there's people coming up to you and like how excited they are for you, how happy they are for you, that you won, or they're like, hey man, I was cheering for you, whatever. Or for me, bouncing back from a tough loss, like the fight where we went out to Phoenix afterwards. Yeah, I was jumping on the couch, but that was like a make or break fight. Same thing, with the Bellator contracts, I'd lose and they cut me. Then I come back and I beat, Dustin Neese, who ends up going on the Ultimate Fighter. And I was like, man, I fucking TKO'd that guy. He's on fucking TV. But, I have the win over him. But beating somebody, and at the time, he was just really doing well. So beating somebody like that dynamically with a jumping knee is just like, it couldn't have been more perfect. And then having my close friends and my family and everybody there is just like, it really, to me, it just, it's hard to keep those feelings in. I would like to be like, oh, no, I'm going to go, home and rest. Like, no, fuck that. I'm going to go out. I'm going to celebrate. I've been busting my ass.
Yeah, sure.
I need to get out.
So I guess, for people, obviously, if you're a fighter and you win a fight, that's going to happen once in every great while, but for a normal person, they'll never get to that situation. So to try and get in that state, which is the state that I think it's possible to make, make some of these magical things happen, make somebody like Miss Texas catch your eye or things like that. You gotta first of all focus on improving your own life and improving yourself. Be truly proud of what you've accomplished, what you've done, even if only obviously a fight everybody else knows, so you can kind of feed off each other. But even if you just have a fucking great day where you kick ass, maybe you write a badass blog and you handle your shit at work and you get a sick workout in, kind of let that fuel this confidence so that when you go out, you can put out your own kind of tractor beam, your own vortex of energy that's going to draw people in and catch people's eye. Right. I think that's the best way to do it. I don't think there's any, obviously you can read a book like The Game and you can find some different tricks and different ways to get over your fear. But the root of that book is really about being a better person anyways. It's about being more confident, being more interesting. They have some tricks, for sure, but, and playing on different psychological aspects. But really the bottom line is you got to be interesting. You got to be able to read what people are into, and you got to really be truly confident in yourself, and create this kind of energy field around you that's going to attract not only just girls, but, really attract other friends. Some of my best friends now are people that, I met in a party situation where I had that fucking kind of swagger, and I don't always have it, but those, some of those times where I really brought as much energy as I could, I pulled in people that I never would have met, people who are, just would have gone along their way. I think, obviously my best friend now, Roger Huerta, was one of those. I met him at a party where I was dressed up in a fucking Speedo and a Thor helmet. And like,
I don't doubt that.
Yeah, it was a Halloween party, and I was just bringing it, And so he was there, and he was like, "Whoa, who the fuck is this guy?"
Who's guy in the Speedo?
Yeah, exactly. And we got to it was because of that energy that I was putting out that someone who now has become my best friend, actually bridged that gap, because he was, especially then, he was still getting harassed for, autographs and a lot of things all the time. So it can happen both ways. It's not just girls, but it's also guys as well. It's just putting yourself in that level of kind of awareness. So I think that's something to strive for if you're anybody, whether professional or just doing your thing. It's just get to that point where you can be proud of yourself. So we're almost finished here, and I have one little last thing I want to do here, and this is it's a little psychological game that I'm going to teach the podcast audience, and it's called the Cube. Have you guys ever heard of the Cube?
No.
You guys ready?
It's like from the Matrix, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just.
You didn't give me a pill. Come on, what the fuck, man?
All right, guys. So this
what's a pill gonna do?
This is a little way to kind of get some insight into somebody. Maybe even break the ice if you're out on a date or something like that. So I'm gonna give the cube to both Nick and Whitney here, and I'll explain the answers as we go through. All right. So I want you guys to imagine yourself in a desert.
Okay.
A vast, vast desert.
I don't know if I like this.
You see a cube. Do you see it?
Yeah.
All right. Describe the cube.
It's clear. It's fairly large, and it's off in the distance, and I'm walking towards it.
It's clear, fairly
Three-dimensional.
large, off in the distance.
And it kind of has like a halo around it. Like it's like, oh, the cube.
Awesome. Nick, what do you see?
I saw a Rubik's Cube.
A Rubik's Cube.
Yep.
Very interesting.
I don't know if that represents, me trying to figure something else. It's a
How big?
big
Hey,
fucking thing.
Hey, I'll do the analysis.
Okay, I was
here.
like, I don't know what that means,
Don't
man.
even think about it. You just see what you see. You just see what you see. Don't worry about that.
It's not big. It's just, actually it's small. It's a regular Rubik's Cube.
It's a regular Rubik's Cube. Mm-hmm. All right. So there's a ladder in the desert.
Is the cube still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you see it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a ladder.
All right.
Describe the ladder.
It's pretty tall, and it's going to the top of the cube.
Pretty tall. Is it leaning on the cube?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. What is the ladder made of?
Same thing as the cube. I think it's just clear, kind of golden, silver. That same sense to it.
Fantastic. Nick?
My ladder, I see it going to the sky. I don't know. Going up, straight up. And like an extension ladder.
Yeah.
Just going straight up in the sky. Can't see where it ends. Just going up.
Yep. And what is your ladder made of?
Fiberglass.
Fiberglass.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's orange.
All right. Orange.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So you see a horse. Describe the horse.
It's like one of those Mustangs, like the real wild horse.
Uh-huh.
That's hair just blowing in the wind. It's like sprinting. I don't know where it's going, but it's going somewhere.
It's sprinting.
Yeah.
Does it have a bridle or a saddle?
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Bareback.
It's
Wild horse.
wild. Do you feel like you know the horse?
No, but I feel like I do. I want to. I'm drawn to it for some reason.
Right. What color is it?
Brown.
Yeah. Nick? Describe your horse.
It's a white Clydesdale. Just galloping. Not running fast. Just kind of like, showing off his big muscles and just kind of doing his thing.
Strutting.
And does it have a saddle or a bridle?
No, he's
No.
naked.
Naked.
He's bareback.
Bareback. All right. Then you see a storm. Describe the storm.
My storm's intense. I love storms. So the more severe the storm is, the better for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, come on, storm, let's do this. And I'm talking big, dark, black clouds. Ooh, yeah, lots of thunder and lightning.
Yeah. All right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, I see a real dark colored sky, but the storm is one of those intense ones, and I also see like those crazy colors that you'll see in the sky during a storm, like a purple, kind of orange, just like you're like, is that the fucking sky? You're like, what's going on up there? And is an alien coming down? One of those intense storms with like hail and like duck for cover.
All right. Almost finished here. Almost finished. So then now you see a strawberry patch.
Okay.
See a strawberry patch. Is there a fence around your strawberry patch?
No.
No
It goes
fence.
on and on. I'm walking through it.
All right. And
Big red strawberries.
big red strawberry. Nick, do you see what do you see?
I'm actually picking them.
You're picking them.
Yeah,
How many strawberries do you eat, Nick?
as many as I can. I love strawberries.
I do too.
How many do you eat?
Oh, same. I mean, I love strawberries.
I'll make love to a strawberry.
All right. So you guys ready to hear what this all means according to
guess
this
so.
psychological test? So the cube represents what you think of yourself. Represents your ego.
Shit.
So for you,
You got a
fairly large size cube. You have a very healthy
Huge ego.
Not huge.
Texas.
So a huge ego would be like, it's the size of a mansion. It's overwhelming the desert. It blots out the sun. That's like a Paris Hilton type of ego, right?
Well, good thing mine's clear because it doesn't block out the sun.
Right. So yours is clear, meaning that you feel like you're very transparent. Like people, you express what you mean. People can see through you. I thought the halo part was really interesting. I think, having that kind of internal glow. I mean, it's probably the healthiest cube ego response that I've ever heard. I think for sure.
Cool.
Because it's clear, meaning you let people see through you. You express what you really mean. You're not hiding anything. You obviously have a very warm and loving feeling towards it because it's emanating a glow, and it's a good size. Mm-hmm. It's a big cube. Now, Nick, on the other hand,
I don't think I want to know what mine is.
You had a Rubik's Cube, which means you kind of view yourself, your internal self, as a puzzle. You think that there's something to figure out. That you have things that need to unlock, ways in which it works better, and ways in which you're just confusing. And I think I've never heard of the Rubik's Cube answer, but I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's really what I saw. I saw the fucking Rubik's Cube, man. I'm sorry.
That's good, man. But and obviously, who knows if these things are right or not. Right. But more often than not, you end up finding some correlations that seem to make sense. And knowing you guys, I think your answers are pretty interesting to me. I mean, I think that would mean that, that basically, you're looking for some way to get your colors to line up, so you can unleash what you really feel is the true you.
I'm on a warpath.
You're on a warpath, right? And you're figuring out the puzzle, and then when you do, that's when you've solved the cube, and then that's when it's it's a different
look
piece.
out world. That's when this shit's going down. Like,
So the latter is what you feel about your friends. So leaning onto the cube, both of you had both strong ladders, so you feel like the people around you are going to be assets in your life. Leaning on the cube, made of the same material. You value people who are also transparent, people who also have that kind of radiant glow, and they'll be able to assist you, and you'll kind of support each other in what you're doing. Nick, yours is, you had a Rubik's Cube, so it doesn't really make sense to lean on it, but yours going straight up to the sky. I think you also understand that, your friends can be a big asset to you, and that's something that can take you higher, take you to another level. The people who have very little trust in their friends, the ladder will be broken, they're lying on the sand in the desert, or it'll be all kind of fucked up, or it'll be like, this is an ornamental ladder, like if you stood on it, you couldn't go anywhere, and those are the people, they don't trust their friends, they feel like they're pretty maybe, but really when it came down to it, if they were going to step on it, it wouldn't work. The horse represents your ideal lover. So,
all right.
So that is so that would be for you, someone very wild, kind of unbridled. The Mustang, very kind of untamable. Doesn't have a saddle or a bridle. You're not looking to control. You're not looking to control your lover. It's kind of free out there, meaning that you view it's out there. And again, any boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever you may have at the current, don't worry about the cube. It's just a game. But anyways, what the cube would say would be that horse is out there, and you're still looking. You want to find that horse. You want to find that wild Mustang that's hardly tameable, but that you guys can take that journey together. Nick, I think it was pretty interesting knowing that some of your girls in the past, you picked a big, muscular Clydesdale, because I've seen some of your bodybuilder girlfriends, and they seem to kind of fit the cause. Now, the color white means that you ultimately want them to be good, and very kind of pure and strong is really what you're after. But a Clydesdale is certainly a very strong horse, but not necessarily like a wild kind of scandalous horse either. It'll go to work for you, would be what the Clydesdale would say. What do you think about that, Nick?
I only had one girlfriend that had muscles, and she was crazy. I don't know why it's all white Clydesdale horse. I mean, I guess because
we're digging deep into your subconscious.
man,
Nick.
yeah, I
You
know. I was
there's shit
like, you
coming
said
out.
horse, and I was like, oh, Clydesdales. I think because I like those horses too. You know?
Yeah, that could be it. But, yeah, but you like a nice thick
I like
set
thick.
of haunches.
Thick is in, people. It is. You see that picture I ever posted on my Facebook of Justin Timberlake? He has that. It's in black and white. He has a paper printed, right? It says, "Real men love big booty bitches," and he's holding it like that. He got like the dead serious face. He's like, "You never seen it?" It's a skit from Saturday Night Live, but I posted on Facebook one day.
That is you. You do embrace that.
Yeah, like
those Clydesdale
curves. They have curves. I love curves.
Right on.
Gotta have
on.
curves.
So the storm represents the challenges in your life and how you view them. You had a very clear, and it's funny, even in some of your answers, it was very clear what you kind of felt about that. Your storm, you were like, yeah, I like a storm, fucking bring it. Meaning that you like challenges. You like them when they come after you head on, and you want to meet them head on, and they don't scare you. You're not going to run for cover. You're going to be like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Bring it. Same with you. I mean, I think you saw that same storm coming, and you were like, all right, let's get it. And obviously, you're in a fight climbing back to the top.
Let's
so I think that answer made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the strawberry field represents your attitudes towards sex. So,
oh shit!
So both.
Wait,
of
she said the same thing.
Yeah. both.
We need some strawberries.
Yeah.
Both of you had some very healthy attitudes towards sex. I think the people who have like a barbed wire fence around their strawberry patch or like razor wire, those are the people that it gets a little weird. It's like they have some really weird
like dominatrix
fetishes.
Yeah, or some really weird issues regarding it. It's like your obstacles towards even putting yourself in that frame of mind. Yeah, it's like you're going to get cut.
Like they can only have sex with the lights off.
Yeah, there's some like
sheets
sin complex where like getting to the strawberries, you're going to get cut. It's going to hurt. It's not healthy. It needs to be barred and locked, and you can't get in there. But both of you guys, no fence, nothing at all.
No fence.
And when you get in there, for you in particular, eat as many strawberries as you can, and you can make love to a strawberry. I think that was a pretty good endorsement of what the question was getting at. And obviously, you had no issues in indulging in some strawberries.
Strawberries.
So that's the cube test. So maybe you guys played along in the podcast. If you did, if you have any questions, hit me up at Warrior Poet US, or hit me up on the contact sheet at Warrior Poet, and if you can't figure it out, I'll help you out.
It'd be great to hear everyone's
it
responses
is. It's a fun game to play.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I think that's our time is up. The sands of time have gone out. We're going to catch a workout now and kind of kick some ass here. So please, everybody, follow at Whitney Miller 10 on Twitter. That is Miss Texas's Twitter. She's just getting that thing going, so let's help her out with that.
Let's do it.
And
Follow
then
me.
at Nick the Ghost, and you can follow him as well and keep up with him. ESPN.
Yeah, this Friday at in Austin, Texas, the Frank Erwin Center. ESPN Friday Night Fights.
What time?
8 o'clock Central Time. 8 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah, and then after you're done watching that, you can catch Whitney on the Home Shopping Network.
Oh, great. Thanks. Actually, I'm off Friday.
You're off Friday. Anything else you'd like to promote here, Miss Whitney, while you have the chance?
No, I'm good. I mean, I've had fun. I'm glad that we were able to do this. A lot of good times. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. It was good times indeed. All right, guys. Well, again, thanks for tuning in. I'll try to get this podcast up on iTunes here soon. I'm just getting savvy with all that technology, uploaded to Vimeo, get the whole thing rolling. So plenty of opportunities to listen. Much love to the listeners. Much love to you guys. Thanks a lot for doing it. And we'll catch up soon.
Awesome.
Peace and hair grease.
All right.
I gotta take a picture of this. This is so cool. I haven't seen it.